In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Hello and regards. This is Muhammad Suleiman Ahmadzai, here with a new session for you, my friends. In the category or group called tools, we have a few things. First, we have something called pencil. When we select the pencil, it's like we're writing with a real pencil. For now, we're working with the mouse. Most people who, for example, have a single screen computer or a tablet have Dub and Paint installed. With Dub and Pencil, you can work with a stylus in motion mode. Because no matter how much we try, when we work with the mouse in motion, it doesn't always show correctly. But if we work with a stylus, computers that, for example, have a stylus or tablets that usually all come with a stylus. When you work on these, the precision is much better. When we select this, we pick a color, and whichever color you want to write with, you use the pencil, and in the size section, you choose the thickness of the line. You can choose from the minimum to the maximum. Although the plus and minus controls also work, we can make the line thickness even greater. Control plus and minus. Well, something else we have, besides what I mentioned before, is that I said earlier that Control plus and minus only work in certain cases. When we pick up the pencil, it means we're drawing a line. That same mouse line, and if we want to draw a straight line, sometimes it's possible, but sometimes, well, with a mouse it's almost impossible. Even if it's possible with a pen, with a mouse this is a problem. If we hold down Shift, you see it tries to make the line we draw straight. For example, if we want to draw a line freehand, no matter how hard I try, it will definitely cause problems. But when we hold down Shift, as we mentioned before, helps with the precision of our work. So, we could also select its color with the color picker. We can choose its thickness from the size section, and we could also adjust it with Control plus or minus. After the brush, we have something else called fill with color. Fill with color is like, imagine we have several objects like these shapes. For example, each of them has a color. So, we have all kinds of objects on this page. We want to color all of these. Each of them should have a different color. So what do? We select the brush and fill with color. Here, as soon as we click, let's say I pick a color. We choose a color. Then, we color it right after that. Later, I'll show you that color 1. Its color comes from the outline, and color 2 gets its color from the fill. Alright, for now, we'll select this. We click. The fill applies the name of the color we had previously selected here as the fill color. For example, we might say we're working with the blue color, or maybe we're working with the orange color. We're working with yellow. We're working with green. So basically, whichever one we want, we can apply it anywhere. If we click at the top of the page itself, for example, let's say I want to use this color for the page. Now, if I click, the whole page will turn that color. Try to make sure that the areas you want to color are closed off. For example, let's say this is the section, and if I click here, the pencil erases. Now, this area is open. For example, if we want to color this, it's like pouring water somewhere. If it's open, the water will flow out from there. Here, for example, if it tells me that I want to use this green color. When I click here, the whole page turns green. However, you have to color the closed area yourself. What happened to the color from this part? It went out. It covered the whole page. For example, if we wanted to color the page as well, this one doesn't get colored because it has closed areas, but this one did get colored. It's like water in a path. If you pour water here, it goes inside from here. If you pour water here, it comes out from this part. So, when we want to color an object, for example, when we color an object, what must both of its sides definitely be? It has to be a closed shape. Otherwise, it will go outside the page. After the shape fill, we have something else called the pencil eraser or ARSA. When we select the eraser, as we discussed before, we can choose its size, from the minimum to the maximum, or by holding Control and the minus key, we can make its size bigger. By default, we said that the color comes from color 2, not color 1. Color 2 is the color related to the pencil eraser. By default, we said the color is white. In fact, we said the eraser tool works like this. Since the background on our screen is white, we think it's erasing because it's white. But if we choose a different background color, when we use the eraser, it becomes clear that it's actually applying that color. But now we can clearly see that the red color has been applied. Because if the background on our screen was, for example, red, it would also be noticeable, and the red would stand out against the white. In the standard setting, the background is white. We think that it's being erased, because it's actually coloring it white, so it matches the background again. Alright, after the eraser tool, we have something else as well. Color 2. Sometimes someone might tell you, for example, to change the background color. Usually, the background is white. Whether you erase something with the eraser tool, or when we used to select with Ms. Denors, and then what would we do? Delete. Delete basically does the same thing. But actually, delete doesn't erase. Delete just fills the selected area with that same white color. As soon as we click, we say it's erased. But in reality, it's not actually erased. Now, if I hadn't set the color 2 to white, for example, if I had set it to this shade of green. Now, let's say you want to erase this little heart. When you hit delete, you see that it doesn't turn white, it doesn't get erased. Actually, it just fills it with that green color. Earlier, when it filled it with white, we didn't notice. We thought it was erased, but when it filled it with green, we realized it wasn't. That part actually got filled with green. So whether we use the eraser tool, or delete, or even select the whole page with Ctrl+A and press delete, it actually doesn't erase it. Instead, it just applies the color we've chosen on top of it. Since the default color is usually white, whenever we delete something, we think we've actually deleted the object. We select all kinds of it. Then we press delete from the keyboard. We say these are erased, but actually, here the color is just white and it pastes white over it. This pencil is an eraser. So that's why sometimes, when you click Ctrl+A and delete, instead of white, it turns yellow. So you don't get confused. You should understand that, for example, the color 2, that is, the delete color, should always be white. We can also color the page for you like this. For example, if someone tells you to make the background of the page yellow, you just click. You can also click on the top of the page or on color 1, and what happens to the page? It turns yellow, or any other color you want. So, there's no need for us to use this. And it's better if it always stays white. So, what do we have after this? After the fluorite section, besides color and eraser, we have something else called copy color. What do we do with copy color? For example, here we have one object, and here we have another object. And here we have two more objects. For example, each one has a different color. One is red, one is green, and one is blue. We want to copy the color from these to our object. First, we select this, then we select the float color, copy color or pick color. Try this. When I click on the red color gets picked. Look here, color 1. It picked the color automatically. If I click on the green again, it automatically picks the green color. So basically, it takes the color from an object on the screen. It copies the color. If we go and click on blue, it picks the color from blue. How does this work? For example, let's say we have a picture on our screen. Let's open a picture, for example. If, for instance, I want to pick a color from a part of this picture, we do the same thing. First, you select this, then that. Why do we select this first? Because whichever object is selected before the picker, when you use the picker, it transfers the color to that object. For example, if I select the pencil, then select this, and then click on the red color. Now that I've selected this, notice that the pencil is selected. It picked the color and transferred it to the pencil. It's the same red color. If, for example, I had picked, say, the blue or green color. For instance, I click on the blue color. Now, where did the color transfer to? To the pencil. But when you select this one first, it means that the color I pick will be transferred to this, not to the pencil. If you select text, it will go to the text. In short, we die. That's why selecting first is often necessary. Before this, you should, for example, go, okay, for example, from the photo, I want a color from this part or this one. For instance, when we click, it picks up that color, and then automatically, where does it transfer that color to? To the color palette. Then later, we can use that same color, like if we say we need a collection of these colors from this area. So basically, whether it's from my own picture or from other specific parts of the picture, if we want, we can pick a color from a simple area. This copies it. Another tool we have is called the magnifier or zoom tool. When you click, the magnifier gets activated. It zooms in on the part that we specify. With a left click, it zooms in. With a right click, it zooms out. Left click, right click. We also have these as icons in the status bar. Plus and minus also do the same thing. So, we press escape to exit from here. Up top, in another section, we have something called text. If we want to write something on the page, we use text. With text, you can just click once. On the page, you can simply click and start typing directly. That way works too. Or, you can first draw a frame. Like, you just click and draw a box, a rectangle, or a square. Then you can type inside it. As long as this text is editable, as long as we're inside this box and the cursor is blinking, it means we're inside the box and in editing mode. We select the text. You see a toolbar called Text is also added. A tab called Text appears. You already know about the keyboard shortcuts for cut, copy, and paste. From here, you can choose the type of line. Regarding text, from here you can select its size. The rules about what range can be written, we've explained all of that for you in the WordPad program. For example, if we want our text to be bold, italic, underlined, or have a strike-through effect, you can select those. For instance, we can set our text to size 36 or 72. 16 and 38 are the most common sizes that are used for text. Alright, you write your text. Our text has color 1 and color 2. Color 1 here is the color of the text. It's the color of the text itself. Which color should it be? Color 2 is the background color. So for the background, you can choose whichever color you want for it. So, what did we say color 1 is? It's the color of the text, and what is color 2? It's the background color. If this is selected, the text will have a background. If transparent is selected, then the text won't have a background anymore. That's why, even if we select color 2, it won't change the color anymore. Because there's no background, which color is it supposed to change? It's just plain text. If we select this again, then it will change at that time. If the text has a background, you can set its background color. But if your text doesn't have any background, obviously color 2 won't do anything. Edit with color. Well, obviously, if we want, we can bring in some other colors too. And edit with 3D pen. We have a Microsoft pen that works on 2D images, and we have a 3D pen that works on 3D and 3-dimensional images. We'll work on that later. So, we can add text however we want and write whatever we like. This transparent option on top works even better. That means, when you want to write on top of an image, this feature comes in handy a lot. For example, if we have an image and want to write something on it. At that time, this becomes really necessary. When you click this and start typing, see, if this option is on, the text will have a background. For example, whatever you want to write, you can choose whether you want the background or not. Usually, on this kind of photo, people don't use it like this because it actually ruins the image. The background won't be visible. Again, they usually set this to transparent. In cases like this, when you're writing on a photo, you usually choose transparent. So with transparent, there won't be a background, just the text. The text goes directly onto the photo itself. And finally, dear friends, I ask that if you found these videos helpful, please like the videos to support us and help the channel grow, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you in future sessions. Goodbye.